All right, so here's another quick review on graphing quadratic functions. So when you see a quadratic function, and we know this is quadratic because the variable is squared, it's a second degree polynomial. And so we know this is a quadratic, and we're expecting a parabola, all right, U-shaped function. And so your first thought should be, hey, I need the vertex. I need the max or min point. And you're thinking this formula, right? Y equals a times the quantity x minus h, quantity squared plus k, because the vertex coordinates are hk. Well, in our current format, we don't have that. So we got to change the format. Now, do you remember what that's called? What's the process to change the format? And you should be thinking complete the square. Now, there are some shortcuts to get the vertex. B squared over, I think, 2a, and c minus 4b over, or 2b over 4a. It's hard to remember, but we can just complete the square. And that's what I want to show you here. So let's go ahead and complete the square. All right, remember, we're going to group our x terms, but we need the lead coefficient to be 1. So I got to factor out a -2. That leaves me an x squared, and that makes this a positive, whoops, not 4x, but a positive 2x. All right, so again, factor out that -2 and a positive 2x. I'm going to leave room, and then -3. Okay, so if you remember how to complete the square, take the b value, I'm going to do it off to the side, divide it by 2, and square it. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is indeed 1. So we're adding a 1 to the function. Now, what we actually added, because this -2 gets distributed, we've really added a -2 to the function. To keep it balanced, we would have to add a +2 on the same side of the equal sign. Therefore, now we have not changed the value of the function. Okay, so you remember how to finish completing the square. We still have the -2 multiplier. You want a parentheses, and now we're going to work on this perfect square, right? That's a perfect square, so it's quantity squared. We take the square root of the first term, put it first. The sign of the middle term, put it in the middle. It's a little close there. Sign of the middle term, and put it in the middle. And then the square root of the last term, and the square root of 1 is 1. And then a -3 and a +2 is a -1. Okay, there we go. So now we've completed the square, and you can see that now we're in the correct format. Now we're in that a times quantity x minus h, quantity squared plus k. We're in the correct format. Okay, so first off, I'm saying this is a max. Again, because of the negative, right? The -2. And the max coordinates are -1, -1. Remember, x minus h. Okay, so going to graph it. Let's go ahead and graph the max point. -1, -1. And we are right here. And I can see I don't have a whole lot of room, but that's okay. That's the way things end up sometimes, not a problem. Okay, so I'm going to do an XY chart. I know my line of symmetry is right down here. And I'll do an x value. I'm already at -1, so I'm going to go 0. So I'm putting in 0 for that x, right? So 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. -2 times 1 is -2. A -2 and a -1 is a -3. I have a point at 0, -3. 0, -3. And I have another point on the other side of the line of symmetry at 2, -3. And I'm just about out of room, but normally I would do a 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8, and 1 is -9. And again, if I had more room, I would plot that point. But sure enough, here's where our parabola is going to be. Okay? So why would we complete the square? Because we want the coordinates of the vertex. We also want to determine whether it's a max or min, because that's the key point of any parabola. And then we go from there, use our line of symmetry to finish out the parabola. All right? Completing the square to graph quadratic.